You cannot, however, talk about Joe Biden's seventh grandchild because you may offend the ladies of The View. Even if you are the revered Maureen Dowd of the New York Times, liberal columnist who most on the left absolutely love, and she's a must-read columnist. And she wrote a piece over the weekend about the seventh grandchild saying Joe Biden's being a douchebag. It's not exactly what she said. You know, it's my take on it. And she wrote about how she's got a sister who's a conservative and how she and her sister usually disagree on all things political. But on this, they were in agreement. And the headline of the piece was, "It's 7 grandkids, Mr. President," meaning not 6, as he says. And she says, look, this is not a political issue. It's a human one. What you're doing to this little girl is wrong. She knows you're her grandfather. You won't acknowledge her. And you continue to point out over and over, I have six grandkids. And we all know it's 7. So that was a couple days ago. But then the ladies of The View took this up yesterday, and here's how that went down.
President Biden doesn't need to overstep his son. I like that part, but I don't know why they go out of their way to say 6 grandchildren or 4 kids. When my parents talk about me, they say, we love all our kids. We love our grandbabies. I've never seen them numerically repeat over and over. I like 3 kids. I like 4 this. I like 6 this. I like...
The reason that's happening is because the right wing, who again is weaponizing everything related to Hunter, keeps asking, so how many children do you have, Mr.
No, it's
grandchildren do you have?
How many? It's been speeches he delivered.
Maybe Maureen Dowd should find something else to write about.
Yeah, write about something else.
I'm sorry. You know, these things are, for me, when you start talking about people's families and what they're doing, I find it unnecessary. This is not anybody's business. Nobody needed to know about this. No. This is private.
It's private, and Maureen Dowd needs to find something else to write about, guys. Do you agree?
Not even a little bit. I mean, Joe Biden had the opportunity to remain a private citizen and not have his personal life scrutinized and have there be public questions about his relationships with his children and his grandchildren. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you like him, he decided to run for office and he won. And now people are asking completely legitimate questions. And quite frankly, it sounds like, based on the reporting that I've seen, that his team are the ones who are particularly concerned with the numbers that are used when talking about the grandchildren, saying that there were 6 and not 7, and insisting on that being the way to respond. I heard someone in that clip say that Joe doesn't want to overstep his son with respect to the relationship with his grandchild. I could certainly appreciate that there are some ways in which my mom and my mother-in-law, both of whom I love dearly, they talk to us when they're having these interactions with our children. But I am trying to imagine a universe where either of them would be put in a position where they wouldn't go out of their way to try and have a relationship with a child that happened to be their grandchild, even if my wife or I didn't have I'm looking for the right word, because the things that I want to say might actually offend certain people's sensibilities. But I mean, there's just so little integrity on display by people.
Since when does that stop you, Kmele? Go ahead and offend. Let's hear it.
That are appropriate to help kids.
I understand that this woman is a stripper, the mother of little Navy, who is the granddaughter. And Hunter said she's not the dating type. And I've got to be honest, if one of my boys, when they grow up, has a one-night stand and impregnates a woman and then doesn't want, to be actively involved in the child's life, and I say, please do, you made the baby, you have to go be a responsible parent. And then they say, I'm going to pay child support for this child and I'm going to sort of live up to my financial and legal responsibilities, but I am choosing not to have an active role in the child's life. I don't know. I think I'd stay out of it. But I'm not the president of the United States running around touting to everybody how important family is, how my grandchildren are the most important things in the world to me, and knowing that the grandchild that's out there knows I'm the grandparent and that I've made a decision to actively ignore them. I mean, this circumstance is just so unique and full of problematic elements for this particular little girl. They're going to have to deal with it. The child doesn't exist and I only have 6 is not going to cut it, Moynihan.
No. You know, Megyn, I say this every time I come on the show because it happens every time. And I want to say it again. And I want to upbraid you. I want to denounce you for making me interact with The View, which is something that I only do on the Megyn Kelly Show, one of the greatest programs in Christendom.
Of it.
True. But I don't care what the lady from Sister Act says about journalism. This is what we should talk about. And then Anna Navarro, who wasn't she a conservative at one time? And now she's talking about how the right wing keeps on making it. Who are these people like popping up out of the bushes in the Rose Garden of the right wing saying, hey, how many kids you got? No, this is happening in briefings, and Karine Jean-Pierre, one of the worst press secretaries in American history, is a very bad job of responding to this stuff. If they had a better job, then maybe we would be asking fewer questions. But here's the thing. Hunter Biden has tied himself up with his father in so many possible ways. He's made themselves a unit because all of his business transactions, he can drive 176 miles an hour in a Porsche because he can afford a Porsche because of his father. He has no skills that we can see. He's a painter, apparently, and an exceptionally bad one, and he sells these things for $500,000 because he's Hunter Biden, the president's son, not because he's a good artist. He is not an energy expert in the Ukrainian energy sector, nor is he in the Chinese energy sector, but yet he has these jobs. And then when he's texting people about them, he says, you know, my dad is sitting here right next to me, and he's at the White House all the time. You know, you kind of tie yourself up with the president of the United States, and in the process of that, you leave a laptop somewhere, and in the messages of that laptop, you have the woman who, by the way, in these messages actually sounds totally reasonable. She's like, hey, I get that you don't want to talk to me. I get that this, and he's just not responding. And beyond anything, we can just say the president's son is a total ratbag. We don't have to say that this is relevant. It's not a campaign issue, but he's a bad person. So let's just establish that. But when the president then denies all of this, I think what this is a class issue. And Megyn, you brought up the fact that she's a stripper. That seems to be in the front of the mind of all of these people. If she was a congressional aide to Chuck Schumer or something with a rising political career, I suspect they'd probably have a different response to it. But this working man of the people, the one who takes the train back to Delaware, and then, you know, Scranton Joe, doesn't want to have his family soiled by this horrible woman who, as you point out, his repulsive son said is not the dating kind, much less the marrying kind.
I guess she's a former stripper. I don't know the nature of their relationship, but
she has a kid.
You know, I mean, look, there's no debating Hunter Biden did the wrong thing when this woman got pregnant, just totally abandoning all of his responsibilities, you know, denying paternity. She had to take him to court. Even once it was proven, he tried to weasel out of it. He hasn't wanted to spend one dime on this baby that he helped create from the moment the baby was conceived. And now is even trying to get out of living up to his full obligations by offering her the damn paintings he's come up with instead of actual cold hard cash from Burisma.
That's abuse.
Right? So that's a no-brainer. But it does get more interesting when you say, all right, you know, let's say you, Matt Welch, prior to being a happily married man with all the children and all that, happen to have an interlude with a woman who didn't mean anything to you. Some people make that choice to do. And she wound up pregnant. And you said, okay, I'm going to pay for the baby. I'm going to, you know, but you didn't want anything to do with this woman. And this woman lived across the country. And you really didn't want to sort of be actively involved in the baby's life. How do you see that judgment morally? Because we'll start there, and then we'll layer in the fact that it's Hunter Biden and it's Joe Biden, the sitting president of the United States, and the baby's going to know who all these people are.
I am absolutely disgusted with hypothetical Matt Welch for even one from having sex, which is gross. But also for even thinking for a second about not taking full responsibility for parenthood. I just don't. It's so foreign to me. I mean, all three of us are fathers of girls, and Kmele's got a little problem boy too. And it's like just the notion that you would deny a creation that you're part of. I just don't understand it. It feels so skeevy and gross. And to Moynihan's point, and also, you know, your question about thinking about in terms of the president of the United States, Joe Biden has been with us or against us, but he's been in public life for 50 years. He didn't just make that choice 4 years ago. He's been making that choice over and over and over again. I saw a funny tweet from Caitlin Flanagan. Someone's like, "Hey, when's the proper time for Biden to say that he's not running for president, to drop out of the race?" And she said 1987. It was the proper time, and it was the proper decision back then, back when we cared about politicians absolutely plagiarizing their own life stories, as he did. And that's why he had to drop out. But he's had this lunch bucket Joe persona he's been talking about and weeping about, and I presume most of the time weeping real tears, but about his family. It's been part of his selling proposition that he is a family man. How many times do we have to hear about my old man said people just they don't need a hand up, they need a middle out or something? It doesn't even make sense anymore, but he'll bring up his family, he'll bring up his kids, his son who died. He'll bring this up over and over again. And to have this person who's just a regular guy, he's just there on the beach in Delaware like anybody else, kind of stumbling around in the sand, and isn't that charming? To deny a kid that exists that is your grandchild is so beyond gross. It's not the most important thing about Joe Biden. It's true. But to the extent that he's in public life and that he has sold us on this persona, which has always been a bit ersatz, as all political personae tend to be, and to do this, and there's a human being at the end of this who is blinking at the television, being, the opposite of dead named, or I guess that might even be dead named. You're just not being recognized as a member of the family. It just, it fills me full of revulsion at professional politics even more than I always am.
Ladies, do you see those dark spots in the mirror? You want help making them go away? Introducing the Dark Spot Corrector from Genucel, just in time for the summer. The Dark Spot Corrector, with not one, but 3 cutting-edge ingredients, goes to work fast to target sunspots, dark spots, liver spots, and even old discoloration, both on your face and your hands. You can now enjoy your summer sun, beach, and barbecues without those pesky spots. With Genucel, you will see results, or you will get your money back, no questions asked. So go to Genucel.com right now. Get your dark spot corrector with the new Genucel Most Popular Package, all their best stuff, and now featuring summer essentials like the best-selling Ultra Retinol Moisturizer with a powerful retinol alternative for safe use in the summer sun. Genucel.com/MK60 for these amazing summer essentials and save over 70% off. 70% off their most popular package. Free shipping, free returns, excellent luxury skincare, all at 70% off. Genucel.com/MK60, GENUCEL.com/MK60. All orders include a mystery gift while supplies last. Genucel.com/MK60. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.